Education is very, very important to me and my husband and to my children. Because when there is no education, the children cannot move forward. You cannot be saying the suffering that you suffer, that your children should be suffering like that.
Without education, you can't be anything in life. Each of them, you see, they are nations, and you are educating them, preparing them for the future.
Private schools provide an education to an estimated 1.5 million children in Lagos State. From census data, it is estimated that there are approximately 18,000 private schools in Lagos. Many of these are low-cost schools with fees below 25,000 naira per year, serving low-income families who struggle to find even the minimal fees to secure an education for their children. These schools are often operating under the radar of government and society at large. Typically, they are located in poor areas of the state, having a small number of students, insufficient and often untrained teachers, inadequate teaching support or teaching aids, and offer an environment far from conducive to good teaching and learning. However, despite these constraints, parents and school proprietors continue to invest in children's futures and hopes of a better life. And for the majority of children in Lagos State, low-cost private schools are the only education option.
The money we are collecting is next to nothing. In fact, some of these parents cannot even afford to pay it. How much are we collecting? 5,000 naira per term. And in that 5,000 naira per term, some people will pay it instrumentally and they will not finish paying it. Some people don't even pay, they carry over to the next term. Some people will carry that money and will not pay and they will go to another school. The same school like us.
Anytime we are trying to move forward, the landlord will come and lock the gate. Either you owe or you don't owe, you just say that she needs money.
The UK government has invested £9.6 million of UK aid in the Developing Effective Private Education in Nigeria project, known as DEEPEN for short. DEEPEN does not work with private schools directly, but takes an innovative Making Markets Work for the Poor, or M4P approach, to reform the low-cost private school sector through market-based initiatives that facilitate the overall supply of and demand for better quality education. To help achieve this goal, DEEPEN developed 4 major interwoven work streams. School Improvement Services, which focused on improving the capacity of the schools to provide better quality education and improve operation efficiency through affordable trainings and engagement with SIS providers. Finance, designed to tackle the perceived unbankable nature of low-cost private schools and stimulate a positive engagement between the schools and financial institutions. Rules and Standards, which focused on facilitating and improving the quality of engagement between the government and the schools, backed by quality research and data sharing. Information, focusing on stimulating the dissemination and consumption of quality educational information with a view to helping stakeholders like parents, educators, and government make better decisions as it regards the education of their children.
The idea is looking at private education as a market system that has different actors within that market, that there is also a supply and a demand from parents for education for their children, and a supply from private schools to meet that demand. And so rather than giving funds directly to the schools or training the teachers of those schools directly, what DEEPEN has been doing is to identify the constraints that have impeded the performance of these private schools. and stopped them from being able to deliver quality education, and then working to remove those constraints.
In 2016, we met DEEPEN. We were called for a briefing session to discuss the low-cost private school market. And that was when we realized that Lagos had a very huge private school market, especially those serving children from low-income households. Because these schools are private schools, it's important for us to know whether they're doing well, not just as a school, but how they are doing as a business, so that they can be sustainable in the future. Our interaction with DEEPEN, especially with their research, their policy documents, and everything they exposed to us, helped us to really understand the market and to be able to design a solution that would suit them. So we developed a unique tool called SQUAT. SQUAT is called the Seed Quality Assessment Tool. The Seed Quality Assessment Tool helps us to evaluate where each school is when it comes to school improvement and business development.
We develop activities, training activities to support teachers to build their capacity. Apart from that, we also train head teachers on management issues around school system.
In the past time, we have been using our money to go for training. And as at the time, it was as if the training is not that easy. Because when they call a training 10,000 naira, you could not afford it. And you have to go and still take your teachers along. But ever since DEEPEN came, everything became so easy. We have been able to, they trained us, then we have been able to train our teachers. So on a regular basis, we take our teachers for training.
Association brings some of the service provider for us, like AGLED, Performance, Seed, so many of them like that. They came in and trained our teachers.
The training was superb because I never thought I could teach children in such a way that they would easily grab what I'm actually passing across to them. They taught me about coming down to the level of the children and getting their minds set for the main subjects for the day. And they also told us about using learning aids to enhance learning.
Before we got involved with DEEPEN, giving loan to private schools was quite a very arduous task for so many reasons. One of those reasons is that most of the private schools are largely unstructured, they're not registered, and also a few of them has the necessary documentation.
DEEPEN also said, they were looking at how to ensure that affordable schools have access to finance, because one of the key constraints that they found that affordable schools had was that they didn't have adequate finance. So we came together, we designed the product for schools so that they pay quarterly, which falls in with the term, so it matches the cash flow properly.
We discovered that in that space, there are opportunities for us in terms of classroom renovations, construction of schools themselves, doing the infrastructure in the schools, and we seized on it. And to date, we've helped a couple of schools build their own schools, physical structures in the schools, buy land, renovate schools, build classrooms, and all of that.
The surprise actually came not from the performance, but that it performed better than our usual typical loan. You know, I would say that most people think that giving a loan, that's a microfinance loan, without collateral in Nigeria, the loan is going to be delinquent, they are not going to repay. We found that people with low income actually repay their loans because they know that they don't want to spoil that source of income.
Many financial institutions, such as Capital Plus and Axion, are now working with the larger financial institutions to develop packages for capacity building and international finances for on-lending to private schools, not only in Lagos, but states across Nigeria.
Another challenges we are facing has to do with what we mean by the government policy, which is not favorable to a low-fee school. Fees are fees, the school approval. In Lagos State, in some years back, some schools have been closed down because they didn't merit the approval.
We had the issue of tax. We have the issue of local government. You say local government coming in indiscriminately. Some of them, they will tell you they are environmental. Okay, what do you want to check in our environment? Some of them will tell you they are sanitation. Environmental is different from they tell you. Some of them don't even know why they are out.
So we came from a point where they didn't even accept that these schools were in existence. They did not want to recognize that they were there. But then with the data in their face, they were able to say, okay, yes, they actually are in this space, but we are not happy with them. And then getting them to understand that if you decide to close them down because you are not happy with them, the children who are in this school will become a burden to you. Now, the graded assessment of private schools is a framework that gives recognition to all schools, whether you are registered or not, whether you are approved or not. Every school gets recognition. So the grading on one side would help the government to better regulate the sector, because with that grading, they would know where each school is in terms of performance. And then for the financial institutions, it gives them some level of comfort that government is aware that this school exists, and then the risk of closure is limited. So that was what GAPS was intended to do. And then in addition, to provide information to parents.
The GAPS program is something we're committed to, it's something we're going to do. But I must say that DEEPEN must be credited for helping us as government, to really understand the scope, the depth of private sector investment in Lagos State. The numbers, most of the numbers we have today, were things that were started by DEEPEN. Yes, as government now, we're now investing more funds in doing that. But I must say categorically here that they played a critical part in bringing these figures to the fore, which really got us to say to ourselves, hey guys, we need to rethink the way we look at things. So that's very critical to us.
The attitude of government change can completely. We are now working together. So they begin to understand us, asking us the way we are supposed to operate and what they are expecting from us.
Tẹ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ ní tìfún tẹ̀dọ̀ ní Bond FM 92.9. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa ètò yín tìfún tẹ̀dọ̀.
Before now, education program is about cues. If you watch TV, radio, it's about cues, it's about dancing. But now, that one is entertainment. Maybe we are just giving our children space, to showcase that they too, we remember that we did not forget them. But this one is talking about education and how it should be. One time there was a program about parent-teacher association PTA. Ọmọ wa ó dàbí investment tó jẹ́ pé a gbọ́dọ̀ mójútó. Ìpàdé òbí dẹ̀ jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn ibi tí a ti máa yànnàná àwọn nǹkan tí ó bá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀. Àwọn òbí wọ́n dẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pè gan. Àwọn náà wá rí pé tòótọ́ is worth going. Kéèyàn máa lọ sí ìpàdé òbí àtòrí.
Top Radio started it from inception. It was just something subtle. And then DEEPEN came in and we realized we had to do more work on education to enlighten people, to enlighten parents, to enlighten students. The feedbacks we have received from audience interaction during the show has been encouraging, and parents have benefited so far from the various segments on the show so far.
Our mama, papa, all our guardians there, uncle, auntie, we dey on top education talk today. Say today we go talk about the reason why you dey choose. Wetin be those things that way you dey look for when you want choose school newly for your pikin?
How can I reach the caregivers? How can I reach the guardians? How can I reach the parents that make decisions for these children? And that's when we partnered with DEEPEN And my colleague and I, we started doing this program called Education Talk. It's been amazing. We've done it for a year. It's going on the second year now. And I can tell you that the response is amazing. Imagine if you hear education constantly in more than 10, 15 radio stations. If you missed it with me, you get it with somebody else, you get it with another person. You know, even the people that make policies will start to like have a rethink, like, this education that all these people, they talk. Is it not necessary? I think we should put more money in education. We should do more. I think that's what the ricochet effect is going to be in the long run if more stations pick this up.
It was also important to engage and inform at the community level.
First of all, we had advocacy with the community leaders. Then immediately after that, we had community forum. This community forum was so like an eye-opener, even to the private school owners. They were so happy about it that, so we can work with the community. So the community can come and support us. This is very good. The second intervention that I know that is very, very important is participation of the parents, involvement of the parents engagement in school. Ó yẹ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ lẹ́nu pé so àwọn parents náà lè wá sí school láti wá máa bá teacher sọ̀rọ̀ pé teacher, how do you do this? This is very good for my children and I like that. They were surprised that they have say in their children education pertaining to private schools.
As DEEPEN closes in Lagos, the necessity to enable low-cost private schools to help meet the education demands of the state is as urgent as ever. DEEPEN has been adaptive in its programming, and with partners in government, in business, schools and communities, it has shown what is possible to make the private education market work for the poor. Schools can become better by buying into teacher training and business development services. Finance is coming on stream to facilitate such investment. Parents and proprietors are better informed of their options, and Lagos State government is taking a positive and progressive stance towards improving the thousands of low-cost schools on which the children of the state depend for their future livelihoods.
I feel that it is important that we focus on education at this stage because really, if you look at Nigeria, an educated mind makes better decisions. And I feel that if we are making better decisions, then the country as a whole would advance.
DEEPEN has done massively well with a model that will continue to replicate going forward.
It was the first time we would see M4P used in the education space. For us, I think that is the way to go because we are the players, active players in the market. It's important that they empowered us and they helped us to understand how to work with the players in the market as opposed to just throwing money.
Beyond them, I found value in the program. So whether the DEEPEN is there or not, I would want to continue to do something that our parents, our guardians, that can impact positively on the lives of children. Yes, we need to keep it going.